Hi, I'm Taylor from New Orleans, Louisiana, and I'm a student at UL Lafayette. I'm here to introduce you to your virtual reality lesson on erosion. In this lesson, you'll be transported to Louisiana, Louisiana, which is home to the Biloxi-Chitimacha-Choctaw tribe. Their land is sinking in part due to erosion, and they have had to begin moving off to be able to work, for their children to go to school, and to have access to medical care. As you may remember, the energy of water causes erosion, which wears away the surface of the earth. Louisiana is a good example of how the energy of water can affect people. In 1955, Louisiana was about 22,000 acres. Today, it is only 320 acres. This means they have lost almost 70% of their land. When you enter the virtual reality world, you will be on Louisiana. During the visit, you will hear from 5 people aged 82 to 3 years old that will share their experiences on the island and what losing it means to them. Before each video, you will hear a short intro on the person you will hear from next. At the end of the videos, you will enter a submarine and go underwater to experience erosion as it happens. Get ready to travel on the island through teleportation to different parts of the island, where you will hear from 5 narrators about their personal experiences.
The bayou, as far as I remember, I was very young. I was probably 5, 6 years old, maybe younger than that. I remember the little bayou. And a lot of time it was high and dry, mostly in the winter time.
The bayou was high and
The
dry?
bayou, yeah. There was only the pirogue that you push passed through there. And then after that, it got, people used to start to get some little boats and all. They used to pass on there in the bayou. And then it got bigger. But as far as I can remember, that bayou right there, that's right there. You know what Montague, Louisiana had up there? That bayou go a little above that. And then probably about a half a mile above Montague. Mm-hmm. They used to go through there. And then, as I remember, when I was a kid, my daddy, we used to go to Montague in a pirogue to get some groceries and all. That was a long time ago. I was just probably 6, 7 years old. Then they had some big store with that. Mm-hmm. So they get a lot of stuff. They used to trap. And then when they sell all them furs and all, they had a little bit of money, and then they go make a grocery bill for the summertime. That's the way the people used to do over here. Mm-hmm. Work, and then get a few little money. Everything was cheap though. Sell a muscat for 25 cents, 15 cents, 10 cents a piece. Mm-hmm. But that's the way it was. Mm-hmm. As far as I know, I remember that. Mm-hmm. And then, just like the shrimps and all, we used to sell that for 1 cent a pound. And then those who roughed in a barrel and a basket and all, you get that about 50 cents a basket or $1. Some people paid you. Mm-hmm. That's a long time ago though. Mm-hmm. But now you can't buy that like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh no.
Winsilis, or Win, is the oldest tribal member remaining on the island. He told you about how he used to get into a pirogue in front of his house and go for groceries, and how his family would trap and then sell the hides for money to use at the store. Before the devastation to the marshland, there was land to trap on. There is no trapping around the island now since the animals have moved elsewhere.
What it used to look like, you didn't have all this grass. It was probably, I want to say almost twice as wide. Mm-hmm. In most places it was 6, 8 to 10 foot deep, clean. You actually had a tide. You had a high tide, low tide. Mm-hmm. You know, you had tidal. Once it got blocked off with the levee, it just became a ditch, and there's no tidal movement. During the storms, when the waters come over the levee, being South Louisiana at the bottom's mud, it always left a layer of mud on the ground, in the yards. Well, the mud kind of just settled into here, and it's real soft mud. I mean, it's not compacted, but that's why it's only about 1 foot to 2 foot deep most of the time. It's just a ditch now. And but we used to swim here. Boats will pass all day long. The fishermen.
The fisherman boat.
Yeah,
the fisherman boat.
Because the bridges, this bridge used to be a lot higher. That way the boats could pass underneath.
Underneath.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the boats will pass underneath the bridges. Everywhere they have a bridge, the bridges were built so the boats could pass underneath it.
Kyle, the grandson of Wynn, told how he misses the fishing. He explained how the bayou has changed in his lifetime. He also told you how he used to fish for crabs off of the wharf with a nail and some salt meat.
It's changed quite a bit in my lifetime because we did have a lot more land, and there was cattle when I was growing up, and we had a lot of fruit trees and con trees, which there are no more, and lots of gardens. People made all their own vegetables and things like that, and they could just go out and fish for what they wanted, shrimp and crabs and oysters. They could just go out and get what they needed for the day.
And that's changed?
It's changed a lot. Yes. There are no more fruit trees, no more pecan trees, and no more people just going out and getting what they need. Because you need so many licenses now for everything that you do. So you just can't go on the water and get what you need for your food.
Thank you.
Marilyn Knockhand is Wynn's sister. She told you about the animals and plants that used to be on the island, and also explained how everyone had a garden and enough food to feed themselves. She also shared how the changes has led to residents leaving the island because they can no longer grow or fish for what they need.
So, what do you like about living on the island?
We can play football.
Or not living on it? You don't live here, do you?
No.
No. Okay. So, what do you do when you come here?
I go visit my mom and papa, and me and Jake play football.
And how does it make you feel when you come on to the island?
Good.
Why?
Because we get to play football.
Okay. Well, you can't play football at home? Is there not as much space, or? Oh, okay. You have more space here to play football, so you like it.
Yeah.
All right. And then don't you have some other cousins that come and play with you here? Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Isaiah, Chantel's son, and his younger brother Jake, Chantel's children, love to run around the island and play football, though the island is much smaller than it was when his mother lived on it. They still have more room to play here than where they live in town. Click here to go to the submersible simulation. Here we are at the beach's shore, shrunk down to the size of a single drop of water. As the water hits the soil, sand, and shore, Tiny bits of dirt are dislodged and taken away with the water. If this process goes on for too long, little by little the shore will be eroded away, exposing plant roots to the water. As you can see, erosion causes small bits of dirt and plants to be taken off piece by piece. This is what has happened over the last 100 years to the island of Ile de Jean Charles. As you can see on the screen in the submarine, the land around the island has disappeared and the island itself is shrinking. The erosion on Ile de Jean Charles is happening due to many factors. Some of these are the digging of gas and oil canals near the island, which creates a path for salt water to come in, and then the salt water kills the vegetation that is protecting them. Sea level rise has also created erosion with the wave action that causes parts of the island to be taken with the waves. Hurricanes have also caused damage to the island, and since the Mississippi is no longer adding land into the area, there is no way for the land to repair and restore itself. The stories that you have heard from the people in the video explain what that means for those who live on the island. Wynn told you about how he used to hunt for muskrat, and now you can see there is no land for them to live on, so they can no longer hunt them. Father Rock told you about how big the bayou that ran in front of the houses was. Kyle showed you exactly what the bayou looks like now, and how this has changed since he was a boy less than 20 years ago. Maryline remembered the lush land with cattle and pecan trees that you can see decreasing in the images on the screen. With the decrease of the land around the island, the salt water has come closer, which killed the trees and stopped the supply of fresh water for the cattle. Chantel told you about how she went to the ER 3 times when her family was trying to clean up after a hurricane, and how the doctor told her family that they could not move back with her because of the mold. Then Isaiah told you what a wonderful place the island still is to remind us that there are still people living there, and we should not give up on trying to save what remains of Ile de Jean. Click the restart button to restart the program, or the exit button to exit.